Welcome to another episode of the Lodhi Roundup. Today I am joined by two incredible professionals from Tridel, whom we will talk to about why Tridel. We will dive into the city within the city where we are currently shooting from, and lastly, the state of the pre-construction market. I can't think of two better people to share their insights with so much happening in the real estate market today. Anita Zeman, a sales manager at Tridel, and Vincent Chan, the Vice President of Sales and Development at Tridel. Welcome to you both. It's an honor, and I'm very excited for this chat.
Thank you for the opportunity. We are very, very excited as well.
No problem at
Absolutely.
all.
Thank you.
No problem. Um, Tridel itself. So I feel like Tridel has been ahead of the curve in regards to innovation and the quality in the Toronto real estate market. I kind of want to understand what makes Tridel so unique, and how is it different at different levels for investors and for first-time home buyers.
I will start it off as trust. First and foremost, I work for a Tridel group of company for the past 30 years too. Being work for a company is also trust for myself as well, because as a sales professional, something you really want to deliver, it's the product that you deliver to the customer is exactly what I was just presenting to you. For the past 30 years, I witnessed that. And the company itself, 90 years, 90,000 home built. And I think our organization had a very privileged situation that we be able to learn from our buyer. They challenge us to build better, and 90 years as they become one of the leaders, not easy. And I think it's the support and the trust from the customer to us too. We be able to kind of pivot ourselves into an organization fast forward to now that we develop an incredible community such as the Well here.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to touch on why Tridel, but you've already answered that really well, Anita. Tridel caters to a wide audience, right? So first-time home buyers, they cater to the luxury market as well. Anita, Tridel caters to a wide Anita, Tridel caters to a wide buyer pool from luxury buyers to first-time home buyers. And how does Tridel cater to those different buyer pools with the different levels of buildings that they offer?
That's a great question, Majid. We are really here to listen to what the market is asking, what they're looking for. Essentially, we have, yes, the first-time home buyers. So a lot of our communities will have, our urban buildings will have unit designs that cater to those young professionals. How about incorporating technology within those urban buildings, which is now we're looking at innovations across the board. When we're looking at a community such as the Well, this is a perfect example where it does cater to your first-time home buyers, your young professionals, and those who are calling it a cottage. This is known as the urban cottage. Our signature building is catered to home-size suites. For example, the suite that we're sitting in right now is 1,700 square footage, and this is an average square footage in this particular building.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way up to 3,200 square feet. So we are capturing really those who are looking for more space, or they're looking to smart size into condos.
Ye-
And that's where I think the diversity really comes into place, is that when we're looking at any one of our given communities, every aspect and every needs in the market is considered.
Yeah, I think it's also the lifestyle, right? Like I think at the Well itself, they have created such a lifestyle that
Yes.
you really don't need to
Yes.
step out
Yes.
or go far, I guess, to get what you want.
Yes.
And in this unit, like I know when Nick and I were talking when we're setting up, this doesn't feel like a condo.
It doesn't.
This feels like
Yeah.
a very spacious, small house per se, right? So
Exactly.
I think that itself is a benefit because we're not, or I guess everybody out there is not looking for your small cooking size
Exactly.
quarter,
Exactly.
condo. Now, Vincent, in terms of the market in general, or from a market perspective, there's so many options in terms of builders as well. So now, how does Tridel or your team stay ahead and competitive?
Yeah, I think that's a great comment as well too. Honestly, the past few years too, the market is kind of overheated a little bit, and then that's what bring to us is the ability to take time to choose a builder, the ability to take time to choose what you're looking for. May not have the opportunity because a few years ago the market is kind of driven by the fear of loss. So when you try to look for a condominium because of the timeline, because of the availability, you may not be able to ask the question. Now, faster to now, yes, our market changed dynamic a little bit. I think the positive side is the whole market is kind of reset a little. The purchaser would really have time to ask the right question. And then even for developer, we also have time to be able to listen, to be able to kind of design the suites that they were looking for. And I think that's an interesting opportunity for us to kind of react to the market more properly. And quite honestly, before most of a developer may not actually design the suite properly, and then because of the market, we may build some smaller suite only attracted to one aspect of the market. But Toronto is one of the most diverse city in the world. And by demographic, by needs, being a developer, you really need to cater to various different needs. There's need for first-time buyer, which is a smaller suite, more affordable suite. But don't forget, there is also like empty nester, baby boomer, moving, smart sizing into the home, into a condominium. So certain size, like which is what you've seen in here, is important. Now, it's not just size of the condominium is important because we at Tridel, we are actually promoting the quality of life and a totally different lifestyle. We basically started this type of endeavor way before that we'd be able to kind of pioneer a luxury resort style condominium living. So some of the attributes that you live in a home may not be able to compare to a condominium, such as like even in terms of security, you're coming in, your concierge taking care of your needs. We also put in a lot of new technology compared to like a detached home. We'd be able to provide you a more state of the art technology when you're away. So abilities such as a smart home system that you'll be able to control over the phone. And even when your guests coming in, license plate recognition technology. We also have a smart delivery system. So nowadays we receive a lot of parcel. I hear from a lot of homeowners too, in a detached home, when they receive a parcel, they may not feel safe or making sure the parcel being received. But if you actually see some of our secure automatic parcel delivery system that offer you that particular peace of mind, little things like that, we'll be able to kind of enhance the home living to a next level, comparable to a lot of detached home or more. And then, not to mention, you just mentioned about like community like the Wild too. It's not just a beautiful building you're looking at, but the whole lifestyle. Where would you actually find a project that you can truly live, work, and play in the same community? So I think that's something that we'd be able to kind of tell a story and then create awareness to a lot of homeowner when they kind of smart sizing into condominium or maybe a different lifestyle change in a condominium. They find it the home that we're building is what they're looking for.
Yeah, and I think the whole smart living is captured very nicely in Tridel buildings, even when we go to show units or when buyers or potential buyers are walking into even a Tridel sale office or even a lobby, it's the wow factor where it's put together really well and it's very welcoming, right? I think one of your buildings, 10 York, where it's basically there's no keys, right?
Yes.
Everything is controlled through your phone. In a way, it's a very good feature. I know maybe there's some bad aspects, but it's all very secure, right? And that's one of the things that I've seen with Tradell from many years ago, and other people are adapting to it now.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to point it out too. Tenyo, yes, is one of our first smart building coming into. Give you a lot of convenience. And quite honestly, a lot of people, when they look into condominium, they think about a condominium, they look at 30 years ago. So the lifestyle, the convenience that you talk about, they may not actually realize that we create such a convenience. And then even connectivity is one of the key too. Before we worry about cable, TV, and all that too, quite honestly, a lot of people don't even have a
No,
cable or telephone.
it's
But
just
now
all
that what is
subscriptions.
even more important is the connectivity. So make sure that each and every home have high-speed connectivity, and then also there's some selected building we do have cell phone repeater, so that you'll be able to in a concrete environment to the cell phone signal. It's important, and all this will be more moving forward. We're not going to build less of technology. Data is very important. So as in terms of condominium, all the way from your home comfort, from managing the building and the building science, making sure that we measure the energy use and whatnot too. So that utilize a lot of data. So that now that the backbone infrastructure of a condominium, it's important as the building itself too. So those are the things that started from tenure. We would kind of put that into most of the building, and then when you see the well too, that's also take to the next level as well.
So what you're saying is that planning is important because
Absolutely. And then listen to the customer. Those are the ones
so I was just gonna say that, so
they were looking for certain attribute. Oh, I walk into the building, I never saw my concierge. Why? Because you see all the parcel. So if you come to a Tridel building, you won't experience that. Like all this parcel is securely saved in a smart locker. We have a cabinet for you to put the Uber Eats. We have cabinets for you to put the larger parcel and all that too. Did we actually created it? Yes, but then why we created those is to listen to what the consumer wanted, and then some of them could be some of the challenge for us in the past in our building, but we listen to it, pivot it, and then bring it into the next level. So that those challenge become feature in our current and future condominiums.
what Tridel, I guess, has done is learn but also adapt. But
Absolutely.
when you're building pre-con, you're building 5 years out. So you're basically kind of looking at the future, what the trends would be, and then eventually build. Because I've been to many of your projects in Scarborough, Toronto, North York, and a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of the features that you're talking about have been implemented, but over the years have gotten better, which we can now see in the well, right? Which is just one building. I'm sure there's more. But one of the main things that a lot of people that I know and a few of my investors only buy Tridel, and the reason is because of the trust and also the planning, right? Where you're kind of looking into the future in a way, but you have a legacy and you have that trust where you build quality, and you're kind of ahead of the time in regards to the parcels or even the smart system or the smart home, which is a nice feature for investors or home buyers, right? Because this is their house, so they want to feel like they're living in a home and not just a concrete jungle.
Yeah, and I think that's very important too, because when you talk about trust too, it's not just the feature we're talking about, it's the experience that with our brand. I think we are one of the only few developer that would give you the following challenge, and you can actually walk into any of our building, perhaps 20 to maybe probably 30 years ago, you walk in, you would still expect a certain quality. Some of the building you would still say, wow, that's the quality. Because they live in such building too, they have a certain expectation. So when we try to facilitate the second purchase too, we need to exceed the expectation. So I think this is how we kind of innovated ourselves to put into a nicer building moving forward. But even looking back, one of the most important aspect is our Tridel group of company is not just a developer. We are also a builder. We also manage our own building. So therefore, our trusted team, which operated for the past many years too, you see some of the building like 20, 30 years too, you walk into a Tridel building, you still say, wow. And the quality and the building that we finish, you go ahead and check out some of our building, some of our classic building, you will still be impressed. And that's something that we're quite proud of as well.
It's all well maintained, but it's all in house, so
Right.
you're able to control more of it,
Yeah.
right? Now changing the gears a little bit, talking about so if you zoom out and talk about the pre-construction market. I know it's the hot topic that everybody talks about, but there's been a lot of changes in the real estate market, the pre-construction market, the good, the bad. We can touch on both. But what's your take on the current pre-con market?
The current premium market is definitely different, and I think I called it a healthy reset as well too. Interestingly, when you ask me for the market, it's no different from when I first get into the business 30 years ago. Back then, 30 years ago, people have a lot more time to sales and marketing and building. But for the past 10 years too, I think we kind of created some of the unsustainable type of market condition that people think it will be continued. First and foremost, it would not be. Like if the market go higher, higher and higher, it would not stop until now. I think you probably need an episode. We need to talk about more about that. That's even more scary. But then a healthy reset sometimes is not good, but it's good. A healthy reset sometimes it's actually good. Because as I alluded to earlier too, different entity have more time to kind of reflect it. Do we build the right product? Do we have the right developer? Do we have the right builder? So I think that the market kind of reset it a little bit too. And in terms of the market itself too, and currently it's a well-known fact that certain product may be oversupplied a little bit. Perhaps a smaller condo, the investment condo too. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that the market is disappearing. It's not. It's slowed down too because we are a major metropolitan city. Any city, if you look around the world, you still need an investment suite, a smaller suite. That's a given. But it is not everything we need to build. So, but for the past 90 years, we kind of learned the business. We do understand. In the different building too, we have different segment in different markets. So we have a one bedroom, we have a 1+10. We sometimes needed 3 bedroom or perhaps a townhomes option, triplex and all that, a duplex, all that. We need to build a variety of product to kind of have it balanced a little bit. I would say do not just fixate it into a few months of statistics or just the current market condition. Like say, if you talk about the market condition last year compared to now, it's different before. Like 2 years ago, we only talked about the interest rate higher, 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 higher. Right now, the interest rate we talk about, yes, it's going down, but how many? So I think that's a fundamental change of the whole market, and the geopolitical effect happening change every day. What I really want to focus on is the long-term dynamics. Long-term dynamic, I don't really need to do any explanation. Supply always been an issue. Good market, bad market. Even in the good market, we undersupply. In not so good market, the supply would be even more so. Not currently, but in the future. Because for the past a few years too, we have not been actively building at all. COVID, obviously, no one can build. Fast, immediate after COVID, we start to build a little bit, but then the market changed a little bit, then we stop. So if you think about the outlook in 2027 and 2028, the supply that you've seen may not be the same. Because currently, yes, we would have more than enough supply. Those are all the good works that the realtor community or investment community sold, and then we'd be able to have that building finished. But then for the next few years too, the outlook may not be the same. And then demand, yes, currently is subsided a little bit too, but if you think about in the long run, Canada is still focused on immigration too. Yes, it's have a different target, but it's still growing population. Also, education opportunity, yes, we may slow down the foreign student as well too, but yet they still have an X amount of demand in the future too. So in the long run, I do see the same dynamic that you see a few years ago was still intact. What I kind of worry a little bit more about is actually the future supply. Because even if the future supply, yes, you have demand coming into, let's build a lot more condo. Condominium is the business that I cannot just, okay, build, boom, let's build a building there too. Require a lot of planning, a lot of time to construct before we be able to fulfill the future demand. So long story short, I think, yes, the market is have a current reset a little bit too, but if you think about the long-term demand and supply dynamics, the market in the long run is still quite positive. And not to mention about the job opportunity incoming to Ontario, both in the technology side of it too, film production company and whatnot too, even Major League Sport expansion. So those are some of the positive factors we can see in the future. But in the meantime too, while the market is kind of reset a little bit, perhaps would give good opportunity for your purchaser now that you have more time to choose it to. Now that they know how needed to choose a good realtor, direct them, provide education seminar or podcast such as educated to them too. They have more time to make the decisions.
Time in the market is very important and not timing the market. But to your point, um, right now is the time for people to research, take their time, learn, and then know the numbers and then jump in. But I feel like the kind of market that we have been in or that we were in, it's essentially a herd mentality. So if they see everybody buying, they want to go buy. But if less people are buying, they're like, hey, we don't want to buy because nobody's buying now. But I feel like that's the time that they should look into it, indulge into it, and buy because it still makes sense for the long run, right? Right now, if you look at the current market, yes, at times there might be oversupply in some type of units, but come 2027, 2028, I feel like there will be still a supply demand issue, and which we've always had,
Yeah.
right?
And then interestingly, you talk about the whole general of the market too. Is that all markets slowing down? No. We call it a smart sizing market where people moving from a detached home into a condominium. I actually don't see that market slow down at all. We actually have quite a bit activities happening lately. Because like normally for those folks to try to kind of smart sizing into a qualified home that they move into, before they have bungalows. Right now, they don't really have that much bungalow on the market, so condominium become one of the
A good choice.
alternative,
Yeah.
a good choice alternative. And they're looking for bigger size too. So if the building that you provided, the story they wanted to listen, the lifestyle they want to listen, and perhaps that's the right time for them to kind of look into it too. Overall, the supply for the home size suite is not as much as what the other opportunity available. So I think that market is actually quite strong. Think about the homes that they have when they smart size in the condominium. 30 years ago, the homes could be only 300,000. Back then, when they try to smart size in the condominium, after they sell the home, they may still need to find X amount of money in terms of moving to a condominium. But fast forward to now, interestingly, it's different. A typical home in even Markham, Richmond Hill area is like $2 to $3 million. And they want to kind of smart sizing into a condominium, perhaps 1.5 million or 2 million. Wasn't even that difficult because don't forget they're also quite equity rich at the time too. And at the stage of the life too, would they really need to concern about this is the least expensive and all that too? So I think that market is actually quite active. And Anita also talked about the urban cottage scenario as well too. So we do have a lot of folks that are living in even Muskoka in the weekdays, and then they look for urban size cottage that they be able to enjoy the vibrant lifestyle in the city. So that's a thing as well. So I think one cannot generalize the market. Purchasing a home should not just financialize it. You cannot just say, oh, because of this to a negative cash flow. That's only one aspect of real estate. And as a matter of fact, real estate is diversify your investment, not all your investment. So, but if you were to, because of lifestyle change, you needed to smart size in condominium, is the time. Or maybe you wanted to move into downtown, you're looking for a smaller suite for the affordability, first-time buyer, that may not be a bad timing as well. So most important thing, my advice is to speak to your realtor, speak to your banker, and if it is the right time for you, it is the right time for you. You cannot time them.
Yeah, knowing your why and being able to afford it, right?
Absolutely.
So if that makes sense, then it's
Yes.
your call. Anita, in terms of the sales perspective and the trends that you're seeing when buyers are coming to talk to you, what kind of trends or what kind of things are people like the pre-construction buyers looking in today's market?
I think Vincent had sort of really, emphasized in where we are in terms of where the market stands. We are really working with the needs market right now. I think we can all
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
And we feel that over the last 2 years, there's a lot of pent-up demand. A lot of the homeowners have been sitting on a sideline. Just to sort of see when those interest rates, as they're coming down, it really is helping boost some confidence. In essence, that's who is now entering into the market. And we're noticing that across the board within all of our communities. The one thing that I can tell you with reference to Tridel communities is it's not just diversity in the product line, but it's also location diversity. And so, we have a project, Waterfront, which is Harbor Walk. We are actually seeing a lot of homeowners purchase there, and the community is closing in 4 or 5 years from now. So they are pre-planning, becoming an empty nester, or maybe they wanted to travel, or that could be their urban cottage because it's waterfront. So that seems to be what the trends have been going on within our communities across the board. And to Winston's point, we haven't quite stopped in terms of our sales activities, just because I think a lot of the product that we actually have in the market, they're not really micro units. We haven't really emphasized too much on micro unit suite designs. So we were already ready for this type of market conditions that we're in right now. And we are continuing with the sales activities, and we are seeing consumers coming in and purchasing Harbor Walk, that's 4 or 5 years of pre-planning, or making purchasing decision now. Here at the Well, whether it's the urban high-rise for urban lifestyles, or we're looking at the Well boutique building, or our waterfront Aqualuna, which is also design inspired and also waterfront. So there seems to be the right set of suite designs and communities and locations that we've been ready for. And so we are seeing quite a bit of.
And have you
activity
seen a
across the board.
change since the interest rates, I guess, are coming down or have been coming down? Have you seen that be a motivator or change buyers' minds?
It is. We're starting to see a bit of an uptake in terms of inquiries, and just this quarter right now, our site traffic has been more than we've seen it, even in a good market. People are coming out, they are looking around, they are doing their due diligence in making sure that this is the right product, it's the right developer, it's the right location, it's the right lifestyle. Luckily enough, when we're talking about, again, diversity in locations, we're able to cater to all sorts of marketplaces and consumer interests. So I think when we're looking at where we are at right now, definitely there's an uptake in inquiries. We feel pretty positive about 2025.
The future looks good.
We've gone through the, where we were in terms of the rate hike.
Yeah.
It's only looking better from here forward. And again, to Winston's point, moving forward to the future, I personally, looking at a lot of the stats and listening to, Professor Chen and hearing his market updates constantly, personally, I think we'll probably get to a point where we might not have enough supply. Supply and demand is really the key factor sometimes with reference to whatever else is happening economically.
Yeah, and the market is such in the GTA or Toronto is that you have to buy for the builder to build. So
Right.
if there's not sales happening,
Right.
they're not building.
Not enough launches
And then
right
there is,
now. Right.
2024, I
So.
believe, was very slow in that sense.
Exactly.
Now, Vincent, I kind of want to understand, if you want to shed some light on this, the process of launching a project from the planning phase to bringing it to the market and then selling, and also the second part to that, pricing, because I think that's been one of the biggest things that everybody talks about, that pre-construction pricing are X, Y, Z, where I know there's a lot that goes in the back end. If you can have some words on that.
First and foremost, development is a complicated process, and you see there's not many developers that be able to finish the project that speak to the volume on that as well. It is really complicated, especially in Toronto too. Compared to other part of the world too, you may be able to kind of finish the project in 3 to 4 years too. Yes, the government is saying that we're going to fast track a lot of things too, but at the end of the day, the existing project that you experience, such as the well, will need a lot of time and planning too. I think on that note, I think the audience really need to appreciate the time and the money, and most importantly, the risk tolerance of a developer that got put into it too. Now, Rooted to also doing a very incredible part of the job as well too, because there's so many options out there. So it's up to you and your team to be able to kind of screen out, make sure that you tell your purchaser why this developer is trustworthy, the track record to do that. So once you get through the planning too, you have a team together. Now for us, it's a lot easier compared to other team because we do have a whole team of profession that be able to kind of facilitate from planning all the way to the finish line, because we have a planning team, we have a lot of in-house professional. We, as I mentioned earlier, we are developer and builder together, so we be able to kind of facilitate the sales and marketing. Now, typically, sales and marketing actually take upwards of a year to 2 years to basically facilitate the entire building, because sales and marketing have a different stage. Then you'll be able to kind of explore it. From the floor plan, you buy it, and then along the way, construction, you buy it too when the building is finished too, which is like the stage two. Then we be kind of focus on the more home size suite. So the long story short, the whole typical project, I would say, need minimum of 5 to sometimes even 10 years for a project to be fruition. So therefore, when you pick up a brochure, don't assume that automatically, oh, when I get a brochure, even you sign on APS, doesn't mean that the building is going to be complete. Now, once it's complete, you also want to make sure that whatever I promise you will be delivered exactly as what you've seen today. So the well, and later on, Anita can probably show you some of the plan fab or the rendering that we have before, and it's almost identical. So those are the peace of mind, as I alluded to earlier too. This is why we kind of pride ourselves to it too. At the end of the day, it is a complicated process for a condominium. Now, in terms of cost, it's interestingly relatively simple, because it's precisely the cost that driven the price. Compared to other municipality or major metropolitan city, they may be able to have some privilege to be able to up the price to a certain point to achieve the revenue or profit target. Toronto, honestly, for the builder, the margin is very tight. There's so many cost factor, soft costs,
So much
hard
red tape as
costs,
well.
and I'm sure in the business you would know. Usually, when they say how much is price to, my answer is, can you tell me how much to cost for the steels, for the forming, and for the excavation, the drywall, and all that too? That's all driven the price moving forward. For the price before, you don't see the price drop as much as what a lot of media say, and simply because of the cost. The construction costs have not driven down a little bit. I should say stabilized a little bit, but I wouldn't use the word drop. And land, that's never mind price, but the availability.
Yeah.
The availability for you to put in, we talk about location all the time. Availability is at the right location, right product to build, and then also complexity of our current challenge. Developmental charge, education levy, green challenge. We also wanted to compete ourselves to build more sustainable building, but that comes in the cost too. So long story short is our price is actually driven by our future price. And what I expect the cost drop dramatically, currently I honestly don't see it yet. It's stabilized a little bit. So I think that will still remain one of the biggest challenge for us in the future, or the price per se. Unless there are some fundamental changes, like as I alluded to earlier too, development charge or education levy that's accountable for almost 30% of the price that we are charging you. A typical developer may not make as much. So
Yeah.
I think it's all hand on deck approach for us to kind of manage affordability. I think most important, the government need to do a little bit about it too. Our profit margin is kind of fixated a little bit too. Unless you see a fundamental shift about the cost structure too, I think our price structure is kind of intact for a little bit.
I completely agree. And in terms of the price, labor, land, material has not gone down. So it's hard to see that the price of the condominium or the price of new condos will come down but significantly, right? Because the material or labor or the land cost hasn't come down. That being said, I know we talked about the challenges being the supply and demand or the red tape or XYZ, but going forward and switching from the challenges, I guess, to the future, I know we all are very optimistic about the pre-con market or just the market in general, but what indicators do you two see where you're like, you know what, the future market is looking like a good market and everything is not negative and grim as the media shows you?
I think first and foremost is the recent activity that we've seen. Obviously, I don't have the crystal ball to the market as well too. As much as this is one of the most challenging market in 2024, we still see quite a bit of activities towards like the end user market. That it actually started to react a little bit too. And then also the past outlook in terms of high interest rate that changed a little bit. What I kind of think about what's kind of driven the future potential, again, still the supply issue too. Yes, the cost is not coming down, and the future complexity of the geopolitical things happening in the States,
Yeah.
or even us, potential we may have a new leader, and then all that too, that would actually driven the complexity a little bit more too. But back to what we commented earlier too, real estate shouldn't be just a financial product. Okay, it is your investment. And when you think about one of the worst possibility for you to purchase a condominium versus you purchase an stock, an investment, cryptocurrency, and then all this too, it can go up to very high, it can drop dramatically. If it is a stock, and potentially would go into negative as well. But what is the worst scenario if you purchase a beautiful condominium such as this one? You still have a home for you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we need to kind of refocus that. It is one of the tools for investment, but don't forget it is your home. So I think that's currently create a good opportunity for you to kind of making your right time, engage professionally yourself to search for the home that they're looking for. It's not just the price. Price is one factor, but if it is your enjoyment, it is maybe could be your own retirement enjoyment. It could be your son, your daughter, or your parents, even your relative or friends. That's priceless. So I think that's something that we should focus on more. Real estate is real estate. We are selling real estate. We are not just selling investment. So I think that's something that is important for us to kind of realize that
Yeah.
it is, yes, the market has reset a little bit. You still have good fundamentals. You still have an amazing country that we all choose to come here, amazing city, amazing province. So your home is a lot more valuable than all this like financial analysts or the market go up and down. I think that's even become more important. Focus on home.
100%. I think that's a very good point. Anita, what role do you think Tridel will play in setting the tone for urban living for the future to come?
Absolutely. We're constantly evolving with the times. I think we can attest to that for sure. And we can see the history of Tridel
Yeah.
and how far we've come in. You talked about 10 York, for instance. 10 York, when we launched that project, we're talking about the smart home technology. That was back in 2012, Vincent, I think.
Yes.
So 2012, we launched that project, and we were already introduced to smart home technology and technology that no one else was really even thinking of at that time. So when 10 York was built, we were quite proud to have a smart building. So this is what it comes really down to is really thinking ahead of times, being prepared for what it is today, and really meeting the expectation of the consumers, not just technology-wise, but innovation. How about sustainability? When we're looking at a lot of our communities now, we're also looking for an efficiency, right? So the well is in line with sustainability. Our community harbor walk that is actually being built in the next number of years,
Yep.
also in line with sustainability. We're bringing in the same type of district energy source to that entire community, which is 177 acres of smart city in Mississauga. We were lucky to be launching our very first phase, and it was very successful. We're gearing up for phase two, hopefully. We don't have a timeline for it. But essentially is being prepared and sort of catering to what is expected of us as a leader in development.
The well, the city within the city, harbor walk, the
Yes.
city within the city.
It is, and that seems to be a trending, right? I mean, we are shifting essentially the concept of urban living, because urban living is what? It's not just the home that we're living in, it's lifestyle, it's convenience, it's location, it's accessibility, it's design, it's architecture. So there's a lot of elements that go into what one could consider as their home in a condominium. And we as Tridel, of course, we always try to stay prepared
Yeah.
and get our gears in the works to be in line with what what is expected of us as the leader.
And if you can give one advice to investors or home buyers
Yeah.
in the current market, what would that be?
I'm going to ask a question with a question. Do we think it's a buyer market or is it a seller market?
I think it all depends on their situation.
Right.
So if it's a buyer, different answer. If it's a seller, so there's no right answer.
Right answer for this.
There's no right answer. It all depends on what you present me with.
Yeah, of course. So the reason why I asked that question is that, when we're thinking about the current market status right now, we talked about this is a needs market. For example, I've got my kids and, one is a teenager, and I'm already thinking, I have a timeline when I would like to smart size into a condo. Ultimately, we want to travel. I know eventually we want to just lock the door, peace of mind, and off we go. But we're also thinking about our kids. So we're thinking, okay, 7 years, if some of our young professionals now are sort of having a bit of a trouble owning real estate, will it get better moving forward? Vincent talked about the cost not really dropping, it's only going to continue to increase. So we have to settle our kids.
Yes.
So it's not just the demands right now, it's really planting the seeds for the future.
And I see a lot of young professionals doing that now, where
Yes, of
they're
course.
worried that come 5 years, come 10 years, their kids might not be able to buy in the
Right.
future. So they're making the investments per se,
Right.
but they'll maybe pass it on to their
Yeah.
kids or basically
Yeah.
whatever their plan is, but planting the seeds
The
now for the
seeds.
future. Um, Vincent, what's in store for Tridel next? Or is there a project that's wowing you right now for Tridel coming in the future?
Yes, we while we focus on the WOW or Harbor Walk 2, there's a few more projects that we have in background. As a matter of fact, we have over 20 projects in the works because we're quite positive about the future. So we do have a major project we later on we're going to announce in downtown. We actually have 3 projects in downtown. North York, we're also going back to North York in 6080 and together have 2 more projects too. And all the way up to Richmond Hill, we also have a project ready too, because we do think Toronto is a good diverse market. There is quite a bit of demand in the future. You just kind of asked us about like when is a good time to buy. The best time was yesterday, which passed,
Yeah.
right? But the second best is kind of now. The reason being is you do not want to buy in a seller market or just or even buyer market too. Arguably, it may not be as balanced. The best time to do is the balanced market because you'll be able to have time to be able to kind of going over what you actually are looking for. Remember, as I alluded to earlier too, you're not just buying one investment, you're buying for your home. Now that don't kind of waste the time and effort for developers such as us to put a lot of time and energy. The designer, the architect, and then all the professional, All our goal is to create a perfect home for you. So now that you'll be able to have time to be able to ask the right question to find a perfect home for you. As I mentioned earlier too, if you'll be able to find your perfect home and you'll be able to afford it, the time is now, that's the best time.
That's right. Yeah.
I think very well put together. And I think it's been an incredible chat. Thank you for
Thank
both
you.
of you guys for
Pleasure's
coming
ours.
on and giving us your time and also all the information. Is there anything else that you would want to say before we end the show here? Any last bit of advice for people that are
100%. I
listening?
think now is a great time. So it will be engaged team like yourself to go out and explore. Because sometimes that you may think you understand what is a condominium living is. That could be 10 years ago, it could be even 5 years ago is totally changed. And the community attribute that we be able to provide to you, how that's 4 words, it seems to be overused quite a bit. Live, work, and play. Everybody says so. But
Yeah.
what truly it is. So I think that will be incredible time for you to kind of go and explore. Kind of explore what is the condominium living Anita was talking about. I was talking about why do we always describe a home kind of almost like a perfect for me. It's that real. That's something I think right now it's great time for you to kind of go out and explore and start to plan as Anita was mentioning. It's not just for yourself, but how about our next generation? Bring them along. It's a great exercise to be able to kind of explore and then appreciate the innovation that the builder community have the innovation bring to the city of Toronto. I think that's something, not just Toronto, I should say, the whole greater Toronto area, because we do have project in Mississauga and Richmond here and whatnot too. But I think most importantly, my last message is call to action. Just come and explore. So that you'll be able to, hopefully be able to find the perfect home that you would have.
100%. And I think with time being on our side or their side now, I think it's the right time to just first learn it, because
Yeah.
there's no rush, there's no
right.
hurry, right? They should learn their why, they should figure out what the why is, then do their numbers, talk to the right people,
Yeah.
just like Anita and you, and then see if it makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you everybody
Thank you.
that has been or is still watching, and if you are watching, please subscribe to the channel and see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, before you leave, so if you want to see any Tridel communities, if you want any details on any Tridel communities, or you want to come check out their units, their communities, let's connect, and I will connect you with Vincent and Anita and their other sales team, where they can give you more details on what's going on, how a condominium community is built, and the beauty is that you can actually come see it now. So let's connect. Let me bring you to the sales center and we can chat. Now, see you next time.